Hey Cancers, and welcome to your 2018 year ahead forecast. This is Sky here to bring to you hopefully a very helpful channeling astrology and tarot insight for this incredible year for you. Congratulations, Cancer, you've made it. You've kind of crossed over the line of extreme, difficult, perceptive realities. Traumas coming all the way back from around summer 2016, moving through the entire year of 2017, really kind of come to culmination and a finish line here, especially once we get to about mid-March of 2018. Wow, Cancers, I feel like you are one of the most activated signs in the sense that reality becomes completely new. New feelings that you perhaps have never felt before can be birthed now. I do feel like it's almost like a motherhood or fatherhood type of year where a lot of you can be like very fertile and have children, or if you're not having children, you are basically birthing in a new reality that has never been available to you before. So if you've kind of come into 2018 already in January feeling a little bit disconnected, a little bit overwhelmed, connecting with people who you like, or having new love interests come in that it's wonderful, but it's a little bit not matching up to the aesthetic, I feel that things have to end pretty quickly, and I feel that there have to be a lot of changes made in like a split second and it's all like within you. It's sort of like within the shell, you know, where there's this perception that you have, or this lingering of past developments that have to almost be burned and thrown away. So new connections with the past, really big for 2018 for Cancer. No longer letting the past have the control over you that it had through 2017. I do feel that there will still be strong connections to the past, as there always is for Cancer and fourth house energy, but now it can't like drive and motivate every single action. It's like I feel that it will be reminded in very random times, but there has to almost be like 20 or 25 minutes where you sit with it and then you move on into like your reality, which is now disconnected from those experiences. Because this like traumatized or intelligent based on having been through difficult situations that basically generates an ego ride is no longer looking very good on Cancer, but it's like you can make a blanket or a quilt out of it, and it can be like a very beautiful quilt, if that makes sense. You can still gain warmth from your memory and warmth from the crisis and trauma of the past, but it has to be an exterior object and no longer something that identifies your perception. Because one of the strongest planets affecting you right now, Cancer, is Jupiter in Scorpio, creating that sort of like seasoned trine angle. Basically, you're having an evolution up into Scorpio archetype energy. So you might start to feel that your emotional connection with the world, or your empathy, psychic nature is like on point, on fleek, when it may not actually be. This is happening for all the water signs a little bit. It's important to find something real and tangible and like accept that this psychic expansion is happening, because whenever we have like a big psychic expansion or a big awakening to mediumistic abilities, as most water signs will be having during 2018, it can create a lot of delusions and manifest itself in a way that is not real. So try to create something real and tangible, like a new business, a new art form, a new something like journaling that disconnects itself from just like your perceptions and your realities, because you'll need to know what they are. You'll need to like bring the lesson with you, but it's like important to not get too stuck in your ways, basically in 2018, to sort of be flexible with everyone's interpretation of experience. And it might feel a little bit somber because you guys also have like Pluto and Capricorn opposite your Cancer energy. So that like Pluto-Jupiter connection, also with Saturn and Mars coming into Capricorn as well. Lots of stuff angling you, Capricorn, in like a Y shape. So you got like the Scorpio and Capricorn energy, the opposition and trine energy both coming in. And Scorpio and Capricorn together, very transactional, very high up in the hierarchy, kind of a royal type of feeling, especially if there's like a Leo aspect within you yourself, Cancer. You can rise really quickly. You can make connections very easily. You can feel that you're like above many people and also make like a lot more money and things like that. But also it can be like the death of you too if you're not careful, because like the most important thing for Cancer, I feel, this year is to become completely new in some way, like completely disconnected from what happened in the past. Neptune is in Pisces. You've got like a water trine basically happening, and you create the end of the water trine. There's nothing in Cancer except for like when we get the inner planets during the summer. But there's nothing on the outer stage in Cancer. There is simply Scorpio and Pisces. So in that sense, like Cancer is the most like, I want to say, conscripted of the water signs, because you offer the end of the triad, like the missing puzzle piece. Okay, and that's a big thing for Cancer. I'm going to jot that down. You're like the missing puzzle piece of many people's experience right now. So a lot of people can come to you and claim that you are like their kryptonite, or you are like what they've been lacking, because you're basically like forming the missing part of the triad. And to get back into the point that I was initially making with that though, Cancer, you have to become completely new through that, because water trine, when you get every aspect of water, it completely washes away the past. It completely washes away what has become of you, and births something completely new. And Cancer can be very scared of this. Again, you're very nostalgic, very sentimental, and sometimes you can grasp onto things to a fault. So you have to be able to come into a place of like new territory, or like new territory within yourself. And I feel like the worst case scenario is to need something from your past that you can't have anymore. So definitely sit with yourself and understand what that might be, and go through some journals, like especially before we get into like March, like late March of 2018. Like make your amends with the past, get those closures, come into a place where you don't need it any longer. Just because what can happen is if you're hanging on to anything too heavy, okay, with all this water energy, you know, we're humans, we have to breathe air. Too much water energy is not good. Too much elemental energy in general, they're all very potent experiences anyway. If you're holding on to anything too heavy, like old memories, you'll sink to the bottom and drown. So you have to be able to let go of things so that you can stay afloat and breathe this year. And this year ultimately delivers you to like the sand, back to the shore where Cancer likes to be. And it's important that you don't get drowned by something during that process. And I feel that what drowns Cancer is not other people this year, but associations or heaviness of the past that just almost has to be exhaled, basically. Okay, Cancers. Intuitively, I will speak just a bit about Saturn and Capricorn as well, because and you guys can also watch Capricorn's reading if you want a lot of information about these aspects, because again, it's that 180 angle for you, which is important. But it's also really important for Cancer to structure something outside of themselves that's real. I touched on it for a second, but like if you're producing, if you're a creative person, make a schedule for it, make an outline for it, get like a backlog built up, or like the antithesis of backlog, where you have like a lot of content to put out, but it's still like under your wing. You're not like going crazy and being like too spontaneous with your output, because Saturn and Capricorn really demands like a lot of inventory, basically. So really build up your inventory of creative output so that you can like schedule it out and like release more slowly what you're giving to the world. And I feel that you can have like an incredible extreme growth. It's like you still can, like you can still be like really spontaneous if you want to be, but and I feel that it gets you to the same place, but I think that funnily enough it can happen quicker if you're less like trigger happy with what you're giving to other people outside of yourself. Okay, Cancers, and as you may have seen if you saw any other videos in this series, I'm channeling in 4 concepts for each sign, and the first one that I have for Cancer is bringing something new back into the shell with you. So I do sense that Cancer spends a lot of time of 2018 in the shell, so like building a house or building a business, as I mentioned for Capricorn with Saturn there, is wonderful. Like reforming your shell, renovating your shell, this sort of touches on that. Like definitely renovate the inside of your shell. I do feel that Cancer can kind of come off a bit Scroogely if many old concepts are dominating your interior world. So try to not find too much power in, yes, 20 years ago I learned the meaning of life and it's still the meaning of life to me today, and it feels like that prevents something for you. A great time to have like new communications with the universe and new ways of emerging, new ways of resurfacing that are completely new. And then even integrate that with the old. That's okay. It's just important that you aren't necessarily like the all-seeing eye. because you are, because Cancer is, like, that's the thing. Cancer is sort of the all-knowing sign of the zodiac. You have, like, the deepest, you represent the deepest part of the human psyche and unconscious, so something within you, Cancer, knows more than any other zodiac sign, but sometimes when you bring that up to the surface and push it out to other people, like, people get, like, an ego complex with that. So it's okay for you to know what you know, but it's only for you. And it can't really be for anyone else. Like, that's where it loses the magic, because that's sort of the catch-22. Each sign kind of has a blessing and a curse, and for Cancer, it's that your sort of all-knowing wisdom as a sign can only exist within yourself because you're the only sign perhaps that has the depth to understand it. But if there's a lot of fire, or even like Taurus or Capricorn energy, there can be this desire to like make that your platform and make that your content for the rest of the world to know, and it sometimes doesn't come off right. It can, but through basically getting what you get in 2018, that's what does it. I feel that it's not formed yet, if this is making sense, okay? The second concept that I have for Cancer is allowing a new version of infancy, and this felt really interesting to me as I feel that Cancer has been reborn, and it's almost like you can perceive the world as an infant or as a toddler. Again, preconceived notions are a bit of an issue in 2018 as Jupiter comes in to really scatter up our psychic experiences and past. So allow yourself to see the world as a new person, as a new version of yourself, like new concepts to arise, new versions of experience to arise, like new foods, new aesthetics, new ways of dressing, new wardrobes. Like, allow yourself when you're eating to act as if it were the first time you ever ate that food, and understand, like, do I actually like this food anymore? Because this is sort of, I think, coming full circle with this. Like, I think a lot of what Cancer needs has changed, but because you're very connected to the past, you can think, okay, I've always liked this type of food before. That means I still like it now. And in reality, maybe for like the last 3 or 4 years, you've actually hated that food, but because you've liked it once in the past, you didn't register that. And this can be applied to like every sector of your life, relationships, career, anything. Important to, by allowing in new infancy, to understand how your tastes have changed in life. The next concept for Cancer is like a resurgence of trust energy. So definitely allowing yourself to start to trust people again, but first and foremost, trusting yourself. Cancer can have a lot of trust and betrayal themes in their life, and it comes from the trust you have within yourself. Do you trust that you're strong enough to produce or get to the place that you want to be? Do you trust that you're strong enough to return to yourself? It's very simple things that through gaining that trust there, you gain a power that no one else really has, in the sense that your trust of other people is so wonderful, and it doesn't matter if they betray that trust, because what you come back to is so wonderful. And that's what it all leans on. Cancer can be very betrayed because the universe kind of tests that deep inner trust that you have. Like, betrayal should never really be a theme for Cancer, because you should always have something to come back to. I mean, it's never nice to be cheated on, or for someone to lie to you in some way, but it's the most difficult when you're scared to return to yourself, because people are distractions and can cause stagnation, in the sense that sometimes we need other people to distract us from ourselves. So if Cancer can enjoy what they come back to, that's when you'll attract in trustworthy people, because the universe won't need to test that in those ways. The fourth concept for Cancer is allowing your creative ability to disconnect from disparities or polarities. So basically not necessarily needing any more for like your art or your content to be based on the extreme trauma, but rather coming into a place of like just extreme, almost Sagittarian abundance with your art and produce. Like, I just enjoy doing this so much, I'm going to create something beautiful. And if you can kind of season it with that polarity and disparity, it's okay, but it has to sort of originate from a more strong solar plexus place, okay? And Cancer's tarot card for 2018 that I am drawing and cutting the cards right now for is the Devil reversed. That's so interesting. Oh my gosh. Major Arcana deals directly with what I was speaking about. It feels like sometimes your preconceptions, Cancer, can really tie you up in ways that you don't need to, because of like what was happening to you when you conceived these notions. In this way, and that's oftentimes a lot of what I say to combat the devil type of energy, you know, that really tied up, chained up energy to something that you don't like, is sort of allowing a new experience of infancy, so that you basically overcome the chains by default. It's like a baby's wrists are too small to fit in handcuffs. So it's kind of a perfect thing. I feel that you've kind of grown your perceptions so strong that they're very easy to cuff. and very easy to throw into bondage. So by allowing a completely new version of yourself to be born, it's simply too small and too inconceivable by other people to be controlled or chained up in that way anymore. And it also deals with power and control dynamics. Cancer is a cardinal sign, so you guys aren't controlling in the same way that maybe Aries can be if it's not functioning at a very high level, or Capricorn, or even Libra energy. But I would definitely just sit with control and how you've needed it, or how other people have controlled you. Just get into control, get into those dynamics before we get into late March if you can, and understand what ways do I control my reality. And it's even out of people, it's not even just people, but you can see it very clearly with people. How am I giving of myself to other people? What am I expecting in return? How much power do I think that I have when I tell someone that I love them? What am I expecting in return there? Sort of these energetic transactions that feel too structured almost. And this is a symptom of Pluto and Saturn being opposite and having Mars come in as well. It's going to be very emphasized. Control dynamics, very emphasized, especially if it's above the horizon for you. And through just sitting with it and seeing it, I feel like that's the important thing for Cancer. Cancer doesn't really need to be told about these types of things. And I'm not going to really try to give you a solid way to combat it, because it's just once you see it, you get it and you know what to do. But understand your role in control and in control dynamics of the past, and just sort of remember those experiences and be ready to let go of them and be ready to form something very much more new within yourself. So anyway, Cancers, 2018 is truly an incredible year for you. I know it sounds a bit heavy, but not all other signs even have the option to become new like this. Some signs have to just sit and be sort of a victim to their own perceived notions, unable to transform them, but that is not the case for you. It may be difficult to actually have this process, but I do sense a lot of euphoric experiences. Some of you are falling in love. Some of you are going to meet someone that's so incredible. It might not last quite as long as you want it to, but it gives you something priceless, as oftentimes something that lasts long cannot give as much of itself. So anyway, Cancers, much love to you. If you would like to check out the companion write-up where I detail month by month with tarot cards and astrological energies, you can click the center of your screen, one click, download to your computer or smartphone, subscribe, like, comment if you haven't already, and I will be speaking to you soon. Much love. Bye.